Thanks a lot for staying with us. The storm over one nation, one poll refuses to die down. Remember, on September 2, the Law Ministry named an 8-member panel to examine the feasibility of simultaneous elections in India. Now, Congress sources are indicating that they may skip the upcoming special session of Parliament called by the government if the agenda will be solely one nation, one poll discussion. Earlier, leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha from the Congress party, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, also refused to be part of this panel that he was named for, the only opposition voice in it. They said that Rajya Sabha leader of opposition from Congress, Mallikarjun Kharge, is not part of the panel, so he doesn't want to be part of the panel. He also said, interestingly, that nobody actually informed him that he's going to be part of this panel and he only learnt it from the media. The opposition also says, and this is not just the Congress but others as well, that one nation, one election is being introduced by the BJP because it is rattled by the India alliance. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi, for example, has tweeted that this idea of simultaneous elections is an attack on India and all of its states. But take a look at how the events have panned out as far as the naming of Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary in the government panel is concerned. So on September 1, around 9:20 a.m., it came to light that the government has formed this panel, which will be headed by the former President Ram Nath Kovind. The next day, the names of the panel members also came out. So Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was also part of it by virtue of being the leader of opposition in the Lok Sabha. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary then declines this invitation later that day, saying that he was not aware that he has been included in this panel. He opted out, also saying that Mallikarjun Kharge, his counterpart in the Rajya Sabha, is not part of it, so therefore he doesn't want to be part of it. Now, a day later, the Congress also questioned the timing of the formation of the committee. They've been questioning, of course, the re-triggering of this discussion. Earlier today, interestingly, government sources told CNN News18 that Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was indeed given an advance notice and he gave his consent to be on this panel that he later backed out from. Today, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary responded to that, rejecting these claims, but he also accepted, while he said that he hasn't received any call by a cabinet minister, he accepted that a PMO official called him and informed him about this panel. So the big question that emerges is that how is he claiming that he was not informed? The other big question that is also emerging is if this suits the opposition's line to decline to be part of this panel at one behest or one reason or another, because they've been wanting to be part of the government discussions on various big issues. Now that they're part of that discussion and that panel, they're refusing to join that panel. And the Congress also mulling to skip the next session of Parliament if OP is the big debate. So is the opposition actually running away from the debate that they keep asking for?
One nation, one election, one nation. अरे हमको क्या मिलेगा वन इलेक्शन की 10 इलेक्शन की 12 इलेक्शन? बताओ आम आदमी को कुछ मिलेगा वन नेशन वन इलेक्शन, वन नेशन 100 इलेक्शन, वन नेशन 1000 इलेक्शन? हमको क्या मिला?
ये मतलब बिना किसी कागजात हवा में मैं क्या बात करेंगे, और वो भी एक ऑफिसर के साथ। कानून मंत्री थे, पार्लियामेंट मिनिस्टर थे, खुद गृह मंत्री थे, प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे, किसी ने बात नहीं की।
One nation, one election is good for the people of India, and the people of India realize it. But it is certainly bad for parties like the Congress. It is bad for parties that prey on weak and vulnerable people and have no interest in a prosperous India.
Want to take this across to our guest joining us. Guru Prakash of the BJP continues with us. Sujata Paul of the Congress party is also joining us. Sujata, why is that the Congress party is declining to be part of this panel? You have always said that you want to be involved in the decision making or the deliberations on major decisions by virtue of being the leading opposition party. Then how does it look that Adhir Ranjan is declining to be part of this panel?
Have you seen the kind of statements that are coming out from the government? That means there is going to be no discussion, no questions. Everything is going to be done by the government, but as part in the parliament session that they have called. However, when we talk about one nation, one election, what is this panel about? In this panel, you have a former leader of opposition of the Rajya Sabha, but you don't have the present leader of opposition. Why? And Mallikarjun Kharge ji has obviously been kept out for various reasons because he asks all the tough questions. And in a democracy, you should always have the toughest voice. Now, there is only one person who was named, and Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary, who has refused to be part of it now. And
but why?
Rightfully so. That's what I'm telling you why. One, he cannot be the only voice of the opposition, right? And if the government is going to have him over there only for the sake of convenience to give legitimacy to what they want to do, it's not going to happen this way. Because this is an issue which concerns not just national level political parties, but also state level political parties. Have they been taken on board? Have other national political parties been called...
Yes? Sujata, I get your point, but at no point has the government precluded the fact that other political representatives will also be taken on board. This is just a panel that is going to look into it. I am certain that there will be a broader discussion on the issue where others will also be allowed to put in their point.
No, India is what? India, that is Bharat, is a union of states. And let's be very clear, this is one man, one RSS, one BJP's, one agenda, one aim to change the constitution. Because they don't believe in India as the union of states.
No, you're not answering my question. How does it help the Congress party to not be part of the panel?
I'll tell you, I'm coming to that.
Yeah.
Just hang on. India believes in Bharat as the union of states. And when we are the ones who keep saying and have proved time and again that we have established democracy in this country, how can we allow the federalism to be attacked? Why should we be part
How does federalism get attacked in this?
In a number of ways, because regional parties are going to be affected the most. Regional issues are going to be
Okay, but Sujata, my point is exactly this. Wouldn't it be better if Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary was part of the panel and registered these objections officially?
No, this is formality. No, you know, okay. Shivani, this is a formality.
But ma'am, in a parliamentary system, a lot is formality. Even a parliament session is formality.
No, hang on.
We do work on formalities.
This panel is the first panel in the country which includes a former president of India,
so what?
Ram Nath Kovind ji. Listen, let me complete. And with all due respect to all the members of this panel, be very clear. If you look at the reference points, what is happening over there? They've already said that is it necessary to ask the states. Are you setting the agenda for what you have to do? The outcome of this panel has to be exactly what the government wants.
Okay,
that is
I take your point. You are saying terms of reference is a problem. Mallikarjun Kharge not invited, problem. President Ram Nath Kovind part of it, problem. So many problems.
No.
Okay, but fundamentally, if this was to be a reality, it will come to Parliament. It will have to be passed by 2/3 majority. It will have to be ratified by 50% of states. It's not like this panel is going to decide this and tomorrow it becomes a reality.
No.
So we have to be pragmatic. But anyway, Sujata, you've had your time. Let Mr. Guru Prakash Paswan also come in. Could you have also invited Mallikarjun Kharge as a leader of the Rajya Sabha and other political representatives in this panel to make it a more wholesome discussion? Guru Prakash.
Shivani, I was patiently listening to the panelists from the Congress party, and I am utterly surprised that they don't have faith in the leadership skills of Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary. He has been constantly being insulted by the Congress party, but we have to understand what are the facts suggesting, what are the historical accounts. The Parliamentary Standing Committee on Personal Public Grievances, Law and Justice, which was chaired by Congress MP. I say this again. A parliamentary standing committee chaired by a Congress member of Parliament, Dr. E.M. Sudarshan Nachiyappan. This committee, chaired by a Congress parliamentarian, submitted its report on feasibility of holding simultaneous election to the House of People and the State Legislative Assembly on December 17, 2015. What did the report suggest? It said a solution will be found to reduce the frequency of elections which relieve people and government machinery tired of frequent electoral processes. Number one. Number two, the Law Commission of India, in its 107th report, 1999, Reform of Electoral Laws, This report said the rule ought to be one election once in 5 years for the Lok Sabha and all the legislative assemblies. I have articles written by election experts. I have articles written by former election commissioner S.Y. Qureshi supporting in spirit the idea of one nation, one election.
Okay.
These are the evidences. Keep the evidences apart. Secondly, we all remember the era of policy paralysis, 2011 to 2013. What we need is a policy continuum. Today, Shivani, we are the 5th largest economy, marching towards being a 3rd largest economy. We don't need constant election, disturbing code of conduct. Every time there is an election, there is an expenditure. How do we wipe out black money? How do we wipe out criminalization of politics? These are certain ideas, issues within the framework of constitution can be discussed. But I am absolutely surprised by the insult of Mr. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary constantly by the Congress party.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sure why they're not happy. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why the Congress is not happy with Adhir Ranjan in part of the panel. You can argue that you can have more than one, but this is a panel. This is just going to be representative. But Sujata, my question to you is also this. Sujata, my question to you is also this. Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary also says he learnt of this from the media. Later he says, I did get a call from the PMO. If you got a call from the PMO in, telling you about the panel, then how are you unaware? It doesn't add up. But my fundamental question to you is this. As far as the opposition to one nation, one election or simultaneous elections is concerned, you've also precluded the discussion, no, by claiming that this will hurt democracy, hurt federalism, this is against so and so. You have to be part of the process to debate. You can't say we're not going to debate it. That's not mature politics. And then also claim that you are not part of the debates.
Hang on. Let me first answer that, when you're asking about Kharge ji, obviously they have a problem with Kharge ji because he's risen from a humble background. And he's risen to the post of the senior most person, the chief of the oldest party of India, and he's heading the opposition, entire opposition in the Rajya Sabha. So obviously the BJP has a problem. He's coming up with issues, so they have a problem. Who said we have a problem with Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary ji? He has decided that he doesn't want to be on the panel, and we respect that completely, and we agree to what he's saying. So where does this thing about disrespecting people, tell them to find out what happened to Advani ji, Murli Manohar Joshi ji, and the rest of them. Now, when you talk about policy paralysis, like my opponent here was mentioning, why can't you have a consensus on what we should do if the model code of conduct is in place and the policies are getting affected, the various projects which are continuing and they have to be stopped? That can be discussed and a consensus can be formed.
But ma'am, discuss it as part of this panel.
Coming to it, no, that has to be discussed in the parliament. We are not talking about that.
But you are now today, we are learning the Congress doesn't want to be part of the parliamentary proceedings, which is a special session called by the government, if they want to discuss one nation, one elections. So I am not understanding. How can you exclude yourself from this debate while also saying that you are never made part of the debate? Parliament mein discuss hoga to aap discuss karenge na?
See the message which has come. There will be no 0R, there will be no question R. What are you saying? If there is going to be no discussion and the government is going to come, and are you sure that this is going to be discussed?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
So what is going on?
But how has the Congress decided that if this is the sole agenda of that session, you will not join? Why?
No, I'll tell you, because these are two different issues. See, they might be wanting to change the name of India to Bharat in the constitution and bring a amendment to Article 1. You never know. You might be getting the women's reservation because women voters are the major deciding factor in elections today. But when you talk about this panel, what I'm saying is that if you're part of a panel which has already kind of predetermined the outcomes, what is the point of being there? And
okay, I take that point. These are indeed two different issues. One, Adhir Ranjan Chaudhary refusing to be a part of this panel. Second is that we are learning, it may not be the case because we actually don't know the agenda of the upcoming special session. But the Congress feels if the government discusses one nation, one poll in the upcoming special session, then they are not going to be part of it, which again could be very immature politics because you have to be part of those processes. But my question, Sujata, is also this, before I take a final comment from Guru Prakash also. Sometimes this criticism is growing of the opposition, including the Congress party, that you oppose anything the government suggests, even suggests. Like one nation, one election is not something that has come up from the BJP. It has come from the Election Commission in the past. It has had, of course, several leaders backing it. There is some level of consensus that this would be better for India. If you keep criticizing every discussion, even a move to discuss, by claiming that it hurts democracy, the Congress appears to be wanting to stall any and all reforms just because they happen from the Narendra Modi government.
No. This is the narrative that is being built by the BJP, and I'll tell you why. In this panel, who should have been the main body, present? It should have been the Election Commission. Is it there? The Election Commission, who should come and tell us whether this is feasible or not, whether this is possible or not. The cycle will be repeated again from what happened in '68. Of course, you know that the entire cycle of synchronization got disrupted. It is bound to happen later. But this is, a man who has done his masters in entire political science, and this has surely come from him. Because what happens to J&K and Ladakh? Just look at this. Supposing those elections don't take place now. No, hang on. Let me just complete. That means this is going to happen in 2029. Entire political science.
So there are, of course, modulations, permutations, combinations, a module that needs to be devised, and all political parties must come together for that. It's not going to happen overnight. And mind you, the Election Commission is already on record with their suggestions of how to make this one election or simultaneous election possible. What could be the modalities if a government falls mid-term, and how to bring it back to sync. I actually spoke to former CEC O.P. Rawat who explained this. The Niti Aayog has also done its own exercise. So some of these institutions have had their say. But I think what is missing now is a political consensus which could have been built by this panel. But let me go across and take your objections to Guru Prakash as well. I have a minute, Guru. Fundamentally, there's a breakdown of this relationship between the treasury benches and the opposition. They don't want to attend the special session. Maybe there'll be some other excuse as well. You keep them in the dark as well. The constant criticism is that they are not involved as much as they should be. How would you respond to that?
No, Shivani, I think there are enough and sufficient evidences to suggest the consultation and the process of dialogue happening in the business advisory councils. We have seen in the monsoon session as well, the leader of the House in Rajya Sabha, Mr. Piyush Goyal, Mr. Prahlad Joshi as well, the Parliamentary Affairs Minister, have come out on different occasions and have asked for dialogue. We for one believe in dialogue. I think it was our leadership during the emergency movement, late Mr. Arun Jaitley, late Madam Sushma Swaraj and so many other leaders who spoke against the idea of emergency. And I think coming from Congress, it's a bit rich. But I spoke on the basis of pure facts, on the basis of evidences. There is a Law Commission of India report to which the Congress spokesperson did not respond. There is a Parliamentary Standing Committee report to which the Congress spokesperson did not respond. And it was led by a Congress parliament. It was led by a Congress parliamentarian.
Okay.
We have to understand, Shivani, that the idea of one nation, one election was in operation in India from 1950 to
yes, but of course there are logistical issues.
We have today,
why it fell out of cycle as well.
Last 10 seconds. Yeah, so last 10 seconds, Shivani, I think even today, the 2019 general election, we had state legislative assembly elections to Andhra Pradesh. Did BJP form government in Andhra Pradesh? Absolutely not. We had similar state legislative assembly polls in Odisha. Did BJP
Fair enough.
form
So my
government
point
in
is
Odisha?
exactly this, that a discussion should take place, and of course all concerns should be registered, but there's no point running away from that debate at one pretext or another. On that note, I thank our guests for joining us, and we also leave you with a very special report ahead of the G20 summit in the national capital. The NSG's full spectrum expertise have been deployed to deal with contingencies. Take it.